Hello. I will meet you on the mat for a 15-minute rooted sunflower warm-up. Thanks for joining me. Begin by finding a comfortable seat. That might be kneeling for you or seated cross-legged. Have lots of options. Personally, I like to sometimes kneel and sit on a block, which I'll opt for now. Go ahead and make yourself as comfortable as you can be while still able to sit up tall. Begin to notice your sit points underneath you, supportive bones of your pelvis, rooting you down so that your spine can grow long. Take with me peace fingers with both hands. This is Bu Mudra. Mudras are like yoga poses for your hands that help cultivate a kind of idea for a point of focus in your practice. Bu Mudra represents, for me, the idea of maybe an earth mother or kind of being rooted to the resource that's available. So take your little peace fingers and just plug them into the earth on either side of you. Give your shoulders a slight shrug and roll back. Create space between your shoulder tops and ears. Let your finger pads become aware of the texture of the surfaces that you plug into with that Bu Mudra. And just take a nice deep breath in. Check in. Notice without judgment how you feel right now. Let that breath go. Inhale again. Maybe sitting a little taller, letting your crown lift toward the sky. Let the exhale fall like snow with softness. Make your breath a little longer on the next inhale. Exhale, maybe silently sighing with your mouth open. Slowing down the breath. Release your rooted fingertips from the mat. Maybe take a couple of wrist circles. Bring out any sense of need to wiggle. Let your palms brighten, spreading your fingers wide, and reach your hands up high above. Take another breath in. Exhale, palms shine forward, lean to one side. Take a breath in from rooted hips to lifted palms. Grow taller. Exhale here. Inhale to reach high again and center. Maybe look towards the sky and smile. Take a breath in. Exhale, soften, palms still shine forward to the opposite side now. Inhale to find length from rooted hip to lifted palms once again. Maybe wiggle your fingers, reaching them a little higher. Take another breath, expanding through your side body. Exhale, return to center. Inhale to reach high again. And exhale, palms touch. Bring them down to heart center. Pausing for a moment. On your next inhale, send your hands up and out wide. Exhaling them to the mat on either side. Inhale, hands lift, reach out, reach up. Breath in, fill up. Exhale, palms touch and root down in center. If you're seated on a block or other prop, move it out of your way and meet me in tabletop on hands and knees. If you have a blanket, this is a great opportunity to create padding for your knees. If you don't, just take both sides of your mat and double it over on itself, scooting just a couple inches of it back, creating kind of a little fold or flap here. And place your knees there for a little extra cushion as you find alignment with your joints. Coming to hands and knees or tabletop. Bring wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Look at the mat between your hands. Take a breath in, tilt your pelvis forward, letting your navel drop towards the earth. Draw your shoulder blades together behind you and lift your crown ever so slightly. Think more about pressing the back of your neck toward the sky. So it might feel a little bit like tucking your chin and pressing your head back so you can look just in front of your mat edge. As you exhale, reverse all of that, again, originating at your pelvis. So tuck your tail, round through your low back, press the mat away with your hands, arch your back like a Halloween cat as you tuck your chin. Cat pose. That's the flow. Begin to move with your breath. Inhale, tip your pelvis forward, belly drops. Shoulders draw together. Let your chest shine forward as you find cow pose. Exhale, tucking your tail, arching your back, tucking your chin for cat. Inhale like an ocean wave on itself. Roll your spine forward to cow pose. Breath in. Exhale, arch your back, find cat pose. Press the mat away, tucking your chin. Now find a neutral spine. Imagine a flat back as best as you can. And root down in your right hand and fingertips and your left knee. Lift now your left hand and your right leg, extending them long for bird dog. Look at your lifted toes behind you and see if you can make sure they stay pointed towards the mat instead of wanting to turn out to either side. Return lifted palm and knee to the mat next to their buddies. And switch sides. Bird dog, opposite side. Reach long through lifted right hand and left leg. And again, pointing those lifted toes toward the floor. Return them to the mat. Inhale to lift, moving with your breath. Reaching long through lifted hand and opposite lifted foot. Exhale, return them to the mat, get grounded. Switch, lift your right hand and left leg. Bird dog on the other side, reach long. Exhale, return them to the mat. Again, one more time each side. Lift hand and opposite leg, reach long through fingertips, point lifted toes toward the floor with a flexed foot. And exhale, return them to the mat. Root down to lift on the other side, reach long again, last bird dog. Exhale everything back to tabletop. Come back onto your heels just long enough to untuck your mat if you opted for that knee cushion option. And take your knees a little wider than hips distance apart and untuck your toes. Send your hips toward your heels. Find child's pose. Take a moment of rest. I like to bend both elbows and bring my palms to stack to make a little pillow for my forehead and center. Receive a couple of comforting breaths here. Listening to the sound of the wind in your nostrils. Stay for a full exhale. Receive another breath. Imagine it flowing down your spine, creating space along your back body as you fill up. And exhale, imagine your hips growing just a little heavier toward your heels, sinking deeper into the mat for just a moment. Reach your hands forward, let them be active so elbows are lifted off of the mat. Spread your fingers wide and plant them on the mat, rooting down through knuckles, palms, gluing the entire hand on both arms down to the mat. Imagine Bu Mudra again, like we did in the beginning, maybe taking those peace fingers again and rooting those down again, paying attention to the texture of the surface they plug into. If you opted to take the mudra, spread all of your fingers wide again, pressing hands into the mat. Come forward onto your forearms and elbows. Tuck your toes. Scrub the mat with your hands away from your feet so much that your hips begin to lift, finding downward facing dog for just a moment. Bend your left knee, extend your right heel towards the mat. And switch, bend your right knee, extend your left heel toward the mat. Take baby steps and walk your feet to meet your hands at the top of your mat. Pause and forward fold. Now bring your hips down to meet your heels, taking a seat and supporting yourself as you come to lie down. Rest for just a moment in heaviness, adjusting to the sensation of your entire spine being supported by the earth. Take a breath, feel your belly and chest rise. Exhale, feel them fall. Tuck your right knee into your chest. You can clasp your hands around it to support and lift your left foot, extending it long as though to stamp it on the ceiling. Now beginning to activate your core, extend your lifted leg long along the mat, letting it hover just before it meets the earth. Lift your head and shoulder blades off of the mat. Bend your extended knee, tucking it to your chest and switching, pushing the other foot out along the mat. Notice if your shoulder blades came back down. Give your core a nice squeeze as though to hug your tucked in knee. Move at a pace that suits you, beginning to warm up your core. Keeping shoulder blades lifted off the mat and just switching. Bent knee and extended leg, letting the long one stay hovering above the mat each time. Keep your toes flexed toward the ceiling, keeping all the muscles of your leg active as you extend it long. Notice your breath. Maybe inhaling on a switch of your legs, exhaling on a switch. If this is a little too intense, you always have the option to lay your top half back down and continue the same motion with your legs supporting themselves. I promise that still creates plenty of warmth in the core. If you'd like more, you can clasp hands behind your head, lifting again those shoulder blades off the mat and bringing opposite elbow toward lifted knee. Take care that the elbow not connecting with your knee doesn't return to the mat. And switch that way. Continue this way until you're nice and warm. And then you have the option to A, congratulate yourself for 15 minutes of well-practiced warm-up to build a home yoga practice, or B, to find more yoga and tack on and continue your activity for the rest of your day. Either way, thanks for warming up with me. I hope you enjoyed this rooted sunflower yoga warm-up. See you soon.